This is what's left of our cat gang. We have 4 little kittens. Our mama cat had 5 babies, and we've so far gotten rid of 1. We'd love to get rid of the rest if anybody is in need of a cat. Let's go look at the deck now. The puppies are put up for the night. The evening, their grass plot needs to be trimmed. Hi, puppy. And yes, they can jump very high. All right, so up here at the garden, not much has happened with our fruit trees, the orchard that we planted. We don't actually have any fruit, and I'm not sure if the apple trees are really that healthy. We'll find out. All right, so the garden, if you recall, I was doing the layer method where I use cardboard and then layers of compost as well as straw in the garden bed. And this year I have not really added too much more straw, and I have just been adding compost around the plants that I have put in. So the garden looks a little sad. I'll just be honest. We have a few things going to seed, and I'll kind of explain that when we get there, as well as a bunch of the summer crops that I have already been able to put in, and everything is just kind of growing slowly. We did have about a week and a half of rain, so because of the lack of sun, nothing has really produced greatly, but we do have a lot going on up here, so let's go in. So over here we have oregano and strawberries. I just plopped the strawberries in here because I didn't really have another place for them. As you can see, this is not a long-term solution for them because they're just crowding out the oregano and the lavender that are in here. We have some rosemary, as well as sage. This is the second year for the sage, so it has begun to flower, which is just gorgeous. I love these little purple flowers. We have chocolate mint here, and some more strawberries, and some are getting red. How exciting. I'll have to tell the kiddos. We have a pot of weeds, just like local weeds that's growing. I really don't have anything else growing in here. And if you notice, this is actually a buffalo burr, but the prickles on it are so sharp that at this point it's not really fun to take out. So I've just left it in there to grow. All right, so over here in the garden, we have cucumbers. And this is a purple cauliflower that I planted in the spring, and it just never really took off. Something is eating all the onions that I planted. Here we have a turnip that is going to seed. And if you notice, the seed pods, let's see if you can see this. The seed pods are right here, and they get plump as the seeds grow. They start out pretty thin, and I'm just letting them go to seed, one on accident, but two because you never can have enough seeds, and it's free food. Back here we have some red okra, kale that's going to seed, and ideally you would not want your kale and your turnips right next to each other going to seed, but at this point it just happened. We have a whole row of beets as well as turnips. They're just not quite as big. I'm hoping that with the next couple days of sun that we'll have, that they should get big enough to pick. I do have parsley tucked down in here and a couple radishes that are just, they were a second planting of radishes and they've been kind of crowded out with the leaves of the turnip. So I think once I'll pick these turnips, these radishes should grow. We have spinach, and everything bolts really fast here if you're not quick with it, because we go from spring to summer very quickly here in Oklahoma. So the spinach has already gone to seed, and again, it really shouldn't be this close. Like, I wouldn't want to really keep the seeds from the spinach and the kale because they are too close to each other, and they are in the same family, so that could breed some cross, I don't know, cross combination of plants. So I'll just let them go to seed and just not worry about it too much. I won't probably keep the seeds. Here we have some more spinach, as well as a butter crunch lettuce and some grass. And again, I need to come back in here and add more compost as well as more straw around the plants, and then we would have much less weeds. This is a lettuce that went to seed. Well, it's going to seed, so it's bolting. And if you see this, they make the little flowers, and then once the flowers have been pollinated, you get the seed pods under that. We have a couple tomatoes. These are a Russian variety of tomatoes a friend gifted to me. And again, broccoli that bolted way too fast. We didn't even get to enjoy the broccoli. Right here we have I think it was a yellow zebra tomato variety. I didn't keep the tag, I just bought this at the store. Already going. It is an heirloom variety, so I would be able to save the seeds and plant those again next year. And then we have a Amish pie squash, I'm sorry. Amish pie squash here and in a few other places. And those will be used in place of pumpkins for making pie. Along this row, and I see another red strawberry that the ants have got. I'll pick that though. We have, okay, so more strawberries back here. And then these right here we have are the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans. And I'm really excited about these. One, because they are an heirloom variety from the Trail of Tears, but they're from this area here in Oklahoma. So I think that's just a really neat heritage. We have some parsley in here, as well as some dill that came up that was a volunteer plant from last year, as well as mammoth sunflowers. Now, I accidentally planted the sunflowers along the trellis and put the cucumbers off to the side, and that was not my intention. But at this point, I'm just gonna let them stay where they are, and then we'll trellis, which I have a second trellis back there that's falling over, but we're gonna trellis the cucumbers so that they have a space to grow. Here, if you see, I have the Amish snap peas, and they are growing, and they're actually planted on this side. As well as more strawberries. Again, we'll get a proper bed for the strawberries so that they're not mixed in with everything, but for now, this is where they are. We have 2 cabbages that are kind of slow growing. We'll see if they actually work or if they just bolt. Either way, it doesn't matter. I have a dill that I planted from seed here. Some purple eggplants. I'm sorry, they're obviously eggplants are purple. I think these are like a dwarf eggplant variety. So the fruit themselves are actually pretty tiny, and here is where one is starting. We have lemon balm, which is my absolute favorite herb right now. It is calming and helps relieve a lot of stress and anxiety. And we have lettuce, as well as marigolds that I planted from seed, and these are just coming up. I just scatter planted so that we kind of had a little bit of the protection of the marigolds all over. We do, as you can see, I need to get in here and get rid of the grass. And again, I will do that by moving the bricks in the dirt, placing more cardboard, more compost, and then straw on top of that. In this pot back here, we have just some flowers. I think this was Lola's pot. I let the kids have their own gardens, and they will eventually have raised garden beds so that we can have flowers, as well as this. I think she put marigolds in here because I want them to have a place to plant, grow flowers. They both prefer to grow flowers, Lola and Otto. Here we have some arugula. Again, it has already started bolting. Everything bolts really fast around here. Let's see, what else do we have? Another pie squash and another pie squash. I have 2 purple cabbages back there that I did buy as already growing plants, established plants from a local farm center, and they are doing really good. I think they should be ready to pick soon. Here we have a purple cauliflower, and I'm really excited about this one. A friend of mine brought a purple cauliflower over for us one night to eat as we were hanging out, and I was so excited about this purple cauliflower. It just has a completely different taste than just a regular white cauliflower, and it's so great. And I had just received my seed catalog that day, so instantly I went looking through the seed catalog and found the purple cauliflower, bought the seeds. I actually planted the whole row of purple cauliflower, and this was the only one that made it. So I'll have to figure that out as far as in-ground planting, what kind of critters we're dealing with around here, if it was the birds or rabbits or the mole who lives under the garden bed. I just need to figure out a few techniques for in-ground gardening. This is my second season in ground gardening, so I'm still really learning how to do this, and I don't have it all figured out. So if you have any tips, I would love for you to put them in the comments below as far as in-ground gardening, bug prevention, how you get plants to grow. Let me finish up the tour real quick, and then we'll head back to the house. Here we have lemon mint, as well as mojito mint. Now this one, the mint, I love for making mint tea. And I actually, a fun thing with this is I made a large batch of meadow or mint tea from the mojito mint. And then I used it with water kefir. And I put a couple drops of lime essential oil in it, and it tasted like a mojito. I was so excited. Okay, so here we have Otto's pot. We have some Otto's garden bed. We have some purple basil, some flowers, and I don't know what flowers that the kids picked. They just picked some flowers at the garden center. And then we also have some cilantro in the back. Here we have a few tomato plants, and they are just really struggling, probably because I planted them right before all the rain, and I just don't think they're really happy here at all. So I may have to decide on a different location for them. And then I have a bunch of volunteer zinnias among the weeds that this is where I planted zinnias last year, and they just seem to be taking over. And then here we are back at the beginning. And over here behind the trellis that fell down, we have a cart of seedlings. Again, these tomatoes, I'm just not sure what's going on. I don't know if it's a lack of light or if we've gotten too much water or if it's a soil thing. But they just really haven't taken off like this type of tomato. Now these are a Sicilian tomato, a slicing tomato, and then these are, they were an Italian heirloom. Maybe they were, yeah, I think they were just an Italian heirloom tomato. And then these were the Rosso Sicilian tomatoes. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I planted these after I planted these, and as you can see, these are doing better than this variety. So we'll see what happens and if we just choose not to do that one next year. We have some peppers here that were planted with the rest of the peppers in individual pots, but the dogs got a hold of the seed containers and those had to be moved over here. I have some chives as well as basil. These are snapdragons, and we have some pansies, and then different varieties of peppers. So we've got habanero, and they're all labeled, jalapenos, and I'm gonna bring them in tonight so that I can water them as well as let them be out of the elements for the evening. So now that we're done going through the tour of our garden, I would love to hear from you as far as gardening tips for in-ground gardening, because I still have not figured that one out. If you have great ideas on bug pest prevention or critter prevention, and I think I actually have more problems with critters than I do with bugs so far, is Oklahoma. So we will have bugs here shortly in the summer. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Bye.